Hey guys, Robbie here from CrossFit South Bend. Today I'm here with Coach Carl, who is the co-owner of CrossFit South Bend. He's our head strength and conditioning coach, and he is on staff with Power Athlete HQ. If you don't know what that is, go check it out. It's an awesome training system. Carl, thanks so much for being here today.
Of course, you're welcome.
So, Carl, tell us a little bit about what eating was like growing up.
So when I was growing up, for breakfast, tend to be kind of get up, have some cereal. If I'm running late or I slept in, probably grab a Pop-Tart, something that's kind of quick, easy, convenient. That was usually during like the week, and then weekends we probably have more kind of a traditional breakfast, kind of probably pancakes, eggs, bacon type things like that. But during the week it was mostly those quick go things. As I'm a teenager, I'm gonna sleep as late as I can. Right. So things are like that. And then usually lunches, it's kind of a mix of things. It was usually packing lunches, usually had things in there like a sandwich, probably a pudding. Remember, there was always fruit snacks in there, made some chips. Occasionally would buy my lunch from school. As you know, school lunches are not that best, so I think it'd be like a nacho bar, so get nachos, maybe get pizza occasionally. If I'm feeling really healthy, I'd probably do like a sub sandwich from there or a chicken sandwich. So that's what the majority of, I'd say, my lunch consisted of. I packed my lunch mostly because I knew I needed to eat better, but I didn't know exactly what that meant. But usually a home lunch was probably better than school lunch. Right. And then usually at night, there's some sort of dinner that mom made. So kind of just classic meals there would be like sausage and potatoes, hamburger helper was made a lot, maybe occasional more like steak or chicken or things like that. So more of a home cooked meal at night. And so yeah, that was kind of, I think, from kind of morning to night what it usually consisted to be.
Okay. So we'll talk in more detail about what your food's like now, but tell us about your journey from finding out a little bit more about like healthy nutrition, whether it be paleo or what have you, to where you are now. Like, what was that transition like when you first started hearing about healthy food towards, getting towards this point?
Okay, yeah. So, growing up, always been an athlete. In high school, I knew that eating right was better for me as an athlete, but still didn't quite understand. I was kind of like, at that point, it was like, okay, eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to gain weight, eat tuna, right. Have some chicken breast, and that was kind of like the bulk of what I knew as far as kind of eating for performance. And then transitioning into college, that's when I discovered and found CrossFit. So back in the day, the big kind of nutritional approach, and I think it still might be nutritional approach to CrossFit, is the zone. So that's kind of where I first started kind of learn about, I guess, portion size and portion control, what a protein, fat, and carb is, and trying to figure out how to make all those together. So I'd say for the first 6 to 12 months, I was probably doing just a zone. So making sure that what I was eating fit within the zone. Wasn't necessarily paleo at the time, but trying to make things work. And then probably, I said, about 6 or 8 months into my CrossFit journey, paleo started coming onto the scene, and this was almost 10 years, no, more than 10 years ago. So yeah. Paleo isn't today what it was then. It was still kind of this fringe thing like CrossFit was. But started to kind of really look into that, and it kind of just made sense to me. Went to a Rob Wolf seminar when he was still doing seminars for CrossFit, kind of learned from him, and then that's when I kind of altered my zone eating to fit within paleo guidelines, if you will. So it's kind of like a paleo zone mix, still going with that. And then I'd say kind of transitioned through going through the Power Athlete and going to seminars there and kind of their approach to nutrition, which was kind of more fueling for performance. The zone could be, as you know, kind of tooled for that, but it was kind of more of a restrictive type diet and more kind of for weight loss or weight maintenance as opposed to eating for performance. So that's when their kind of whole eat with abandonment list kind of came and rang true to me, which was still very much paleo, but it was, like I said, just kind of not putting restrictions, kind of eating till you're full, eating till you're satisfied, and eating when you're hungry. So that's where I'd say kind of things transition, and continue to listen to Rob Wolf's podcasts a lot. He's always given good tidbits on there, and just kind of continue to curtail and tweak things as I've gone, and then learning how there is a difference between health, performance, gaining, losing, and just kind of understand like it's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Absolutely, and you've been doing this for a long time and been making a lot of tweaks, so tell us, what do things look like now?
Yeah, so it's really going to depend upon what my training looks like, because obviously we need that to fuel what we're doing. So when I'm following what's called Field Strong from Power Athletes, so it's more of a, think athletic strength conditioning approach to things. I'm going to have kind of more of an isocaloric standpoint, kind of getting a good balance of protein and using carbs to fuel up performance and fat. Now when I switch to their other program, which is kind of what I'm on right now, which is Jack Street, so it's kind of more of a bodybuilding. It's got some volume, but the intensity isn't quite the same as Field Strong. So I've found what works for me is more of a cyclical keto diet. It's from Marlo Di Pasquale. It's called anabolic diet. So basically, throughout the week, I eat what would be, I guess, low carb ketogenic levels. I'm probably not truly in ketosis, but I try to keep my carbs sub 40 grams. And on the weekend, I'll do a refueling and try to get those from the cleaner sources like juices and fruits and starches and things like that, not going crazy overboard. Like I get 300 carbs, so just kind of ice cream binge or anything like that. So that's kind of what my nutrition looks like that right now. And it'll evolve as training comes or goals changes and things like that.
Okay. Tell us a bit about these meals, and people like to see these concrete meals, so tell us about them.
Awesome, yeah. So we'll start over here. So this is a Power Athlete recipe. It's ribeye tacos, obviously sans shell. So we got ribeyes, bacon, some jalapenos and onions thrown in there, and then getting some good colored carrots in there. That's one thing, especially with the keto, I try to be really good about, even when I'm not, but kind of following that Roy G. Biv or eat 10 shades a day and trying to get all those good micronutrients from there. So we got some colored carrots in there. That's another thing too, kind of looking back, my palate has definitely evolved. Like eating carrots, eating Brussels sprouts, spinach, I never would have imagined that would be, but these are something that I actually enjoy eating and not just eating to eat.
Right.
So over here we have a blackened chicken salad. So we usually make a chicken salad a week and we kind of rotate through. And one of the things we find out with chicken salad is really easy to make in bulk. You just gotta bake some chicken. The most challenging part, and it's not even that challenging, is we make our own mayo. So we use olive oil, eggs, and a little salt and a little mustard, food processor. It's kind of plug and play, but that's the most difficult thing. But it's really easy to make in bulk. We can make 3-4 pounds of this for Emily and I, my fiance, and be good to go for the week. And then over here, we got some burger patties that have mushrooms and onions worked into the meat. Underneath it, you can't see it, got some mashed cauliflower, so kind of a cauliflower mashed potato substitute, and then some green beans that have been basically baked in some bacon fat to get a nice kind of crispy and kind of more charred look. That's how I like to eat my vegetables.
Yeah, absolutely. Those look really good. So let's talk a little bit about nutritional off-roading.
Okay, let's do it.
So tell me about top off-plan foods and top special occasions. When we do nutrition coaching with people, we tend to link off-plan foods with special occasions. So tell us about what are your off-plan foods and what are those special occasions where you have those? Okay,
yeah, definitely off-plan food would be ice cream. That's definitely a kryptonite for me. I like getting a good Ben & Jerry's pint, and even that's kind of sometimes not enough. But like ice cream a lot, or going to Urban Swirl, going to a frozen yogurt place and really loading up on that, or loading up on the toppings. I really like pizza, but I've come to like the Power Athlete pizza that I make.
It's really good.
And that satisfies me as much, but I still like a good traditional pizza. I really like tacos, if you can count as tacos as off-roading. Can't go wrong with tacos, especially like birthdays or things like that. Evil Check is one of my favorite restaurants to go in there and getting their shrimp tacos, or when you have the duck tacos, like getting those from there. So I'd say those are kind of like the off-road special occasion type foods that we'll go for. not a big kind of sweets person or chocolate. Like I said, it's ice cream, pizza, tacos.
Yeah. Okay, that's a pretty good list. And then I guess the last thing is, you've obviously been at this for a really long time and learned a bunch of new things. Any advice to, people who, are starting out or looking for advice on how to do things better?
Yeah, so my advice would be just to find one thing that you know you can do and just get really good at that, and then add on to that. I made this mistake personally as well as coaching others. It's like I have so much information, like, okay, you need to do this, this, oh, and these 4 other things. So I'm giving this person 10 things, or I've tried to focus on 10 things, and when you focus on all those, nothing gets done. So finding one thing that's gonna give you a good bang for your buck or a low-hanging fruit and get really good at that, whether that's drinking water, getting protein at all your meals, just get really good at one thing, and once that's happened, then add another. And kind of, it's more of a, and this is kind of our philosophy, it's more of a journey here, right? It's not just, okay, these 30 days and then I'm done. It's gonna take a while to get somewhere, and take it one step at a time.
And I just remember there's one more thing that I should have asked in the minute, but I definitely want to make sure we talk about. So, you were a rugby player for a long time, you're a rugby coach, you're on power athlete staff. Tell us about, fueling for athletes, fueling while traveling, games, just the general things you've learned in that context of sport.
Yeah, so definitely both as a player and as a coach, having gone through this and learning how much of nutrition plays into not only my health and wellness, but performance on the player side of things, I've come to realize that left to its own devices is going to be suboptimal. So meaning I need to kind of take this into my own control. So when I was a player, that usually meant making sure waking up earlier on game days and maybe eating some good food, or if I knew I was going to travel, packing water, packing some good snacks that I knew weren't going to upset my stomach or affect performance or anything like that. So making sure I planned ahead for that. Otherwise, I knew things would be suboptimal, and being a competitor, I never want that to happen. And then from the coaching standpoint, just kind of, that's more kind of a lifestyle thing. Obviously, my performance isn't being negatively affected by what I eat as a coach, but it's still kind of the lifestyle I like to live. So once again, comes to planning. We'll be traveling either whether it's by plane or by car. Got long car rides, long bus rides, you're stopping at gas stations or McDonald's or things like that. So just knowing that those are suboptimal. Same thing, kind of planning, packing. Usually a good trail mix is kind of a go-to for me. RX bars, Epic bars, things that I know are going to be quick and convenient that I can eat. Because usually once I start coaching, it's go for 4 to 8 hours depending on the day. So something I know that's gonna be quick and easy for me. And then when we eat out, just kind of making the best of the choices. If we have a pizza or we have this or that and that's the only thing, not freaking out about it and just kind of, it happened, move on, or just make the best of the scenario that I can. So that's how I kind of have found over almost a decade of coaching and then playing even longer that navigating those scenarios.
Awesome. Well, guys, I think there's a lot of really good advice in there. Carl's been at this for a while, has a lot of experience with athletes and coaching and all the rest of that, so definitely a lot of good advice. Coach Carl, thanks so much for being here today. Appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.